The Titanfall series is a critically well-received franchise made by Respawn Entertainment. It's praised for its incredible gameplay, story and world, with its dedicated fan base following it since the release of Titanfall in 2016. But it wasn't financially successful enough for it to warrant an immediate sequel when Titanfall 2 came out. So what did Respawn do? Well, after Titanfall 2 support was finished, they decided to separate the team into game blocks that would develop on different aspects of the Titanfall series. Now, to be clear, this wasn't done in response to Titanfall 2 doing poorly in sales, just that it was done to see what they should do next as a developer. Whether that would be a gameplay element, weapon, or some other feature, eventually Apex Legends was made from that, and Apex went on to be fairly successful both financially and critically. Except the reception of Titanfall fans were that while it was a good game, it wasn't the game that they wanted. It didn't have the mobility, customization, story, Titans, and to some extent even the setting. It had references, places and characters, and some mechanics that are a part of the Titanfall, but not too much else. Overall, it was a disappointment for them, especially since Titanfall 3 was delayed and then eventually put on hiatus because of Apex Legends. And when it was revealed that Respawn is making two games unrelated to Titanfall, and that the Titanfall Legends game was cancelled, and additionally whatever was left pushing for Titanfall 3 are now gone. Safe to say, Titanfall fans either hate or dislike what Apex Legends did to the franchise, taking away the series they love in favor for, in their eyes, a watered down version. So what did Titanfall fans do? Well, they voiced their concerns in their communities and in videos, trying to get Respawn to know they want a Titanfall 3. Some even took it upon themselves and literally DDoSed Titanfall 2 servers. What was the result of all this? Nothing much. And it's not like Respawn doesn't want to make a Titanfall 3. From recent reveals to even before that, they wanted to make another Titanfall game, but so far they have done nothing. All of this effort that the community put in was met with nothing. As Apex Legends got more popular and Titanfall 3 became less and less likely, fans had to ask themselves the question on what they should do. The answers being stop playing Apex if they even played it to begin with, and continue to play Titanfall as long as they can, to show Respawn and others that the game is still alive, and that it is worthwhile continuing. Titanfall fans can't do too much in the face of Respawn just not wanting to do a Titanfall 3. The reality of the situation is that many fans to have feeling of anger, sadness and resentment that no Titanfall 3 would ever likely happen. Asking questions like, how could Respawn betray their loyal fan base who stuck with them through Titanfall 1 and 2? How could they deceive them into thinking that they had any care for them at all? Why would Respawn make Apex Legends and not Titanfall 3? When that happens, what do you do then? Do you hope Respawn will make a Titanfall 3 in the way you want a Titanfall 3? Because I don't even think if they make a Titanfall 3 that it will be what fans want. Respawn and the industry has changed. A Titanfall 3 now probably wouldn't be what fans want. If anything, it'd be more similar to Apex. But some fans still hold out hope that a Titanfall 3 can come to pass. That the franchise that they grew to love for all its elements can come back. And this leads me to the point that I'm trying to make. To me, it is a fleeting hope to expect another game, and my suggestion is to let go. Titanfall 3 probably won't happen, and if it does happen, it won't be in the way fans want. Why invest yourself into something that has a low likelihood of happening? All you will receive is disappointment. So why go through all of that? Just let it go, because in my head, if they do make a Titanfall 3 and it is what fans want, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Wow, they actually made a Titanfall 3 and it's good, I'm going to get it immediately. To me, it is a far better outcome than in the scenario where you invest so much of your time and energy hoping that a Titanfall 3 happens and it ends up not working out, leaving you sad and angry, probably angry. But if you didn't just let go the Titanfall 3 and Titanfall 3 did come out, but it wasn't what you wanted, you could just respond with, it sucks, didn't work out then, back to Titanfall 2 I guess. The amount of effort put in is now in line with what the outcome is. It feels expected that it would do poorly and mismatch with your expectations. Because at the end of the day, you have to manage what you spend your time on. And if you spend your time on things that aren't making you happy, then why do you spend your time on that? And that is the point I'm trying to say. Oftentimes I see fans of franchises look at newer entries or lack of and get so angry and sad or discontent by that fact. If there's a franchise that isn't doing what you want long enough, why stick around? It seems to be a lot more miserable to hope something will change than just moving on to games that'll satisfy you. Now, I'm not saying you can't just stick around and hold out hope for it all to get better. Do whatever you want. I can't tell you what to do, but all I'm saying is just try to be a bit realistic. For example, there's a game called Beyond Good and Evil 2, and it'll probably won't come out anytime soon. It has been 5 years since the first trailer and of the new iteration of the Beyond Good and Evil 2, and there has been a measly amount of information ever since, mostly questioning if there'll ever be a release. I feel like it isn't bad advice to just say, let it go. Now, you're probably saying that you aren't waiting for a game to come out, but you're angry that the franchise you love is taking a turn for the worse, saying it has gone into a direction you don't want it to go into. Even if that is the case, I suggest you just let it go. There's a franchise that I like that is the same thing for me, and that's Assassin's Creed. I just fell out of it after seeing how drawn out the franchise has become. Year after year of new games and no proper conclusion in sight. Then, with the release of Assassin's Creed Origins, I just didn't want to play anymore. The games weren't what I wanted, because at that point it just took out more elements that I liked out of the series. Why would I want to keep playing a series that doesn't cater to what I want from this series? The small time I did care caused me to feel quite upset, but after letting go and playing the games that I do like, I'm a lot happier because of it. Assassin's Creed was going in a direction I didn't want it to go into, and Ubisoft didn't care to adjust the course they were going in for Assassin's Creed. There was no amount of convincing Ubisoft, and the only time and when Ubisoft was convinced with Assassin's Creed Mirage, it's not like it's gonna change. They're going back to more familiar mechanics and story beats, but it doesn't mean much, because it is probably going to stick to the old formula until it runs into the ground and they have to reinvent the series again. They haven't fixed what was the issue. They just simply, okay, so we'll go back to the old formula, which wasn't unsuccessful, instead of doing a new formula. And it's probably going to still do a lot of things like microtransactions and whatnot. So I will continue not to care about the series as long as they continue to go into the direction I don't care for. I'd rather focus on playing games that don't make me constantly question why I'm playing the game. But you can say if we just leave them alone, they will continue in that direction without any pushback. Without that, they will do something far worse. To me, that is an odd argument because it implies the people who are making the games are either evil or greedy and don't want to listen to criticism when that isn't the case. Every developer I've seen wants to make a good game. They don't want to make a bad game. The real issue here isn't the people making the games, but the people funding the games. They don't care much to make a good game, but they want to be a financially successful game. And truth be told, Assassin's Creed is a successful series, with Valhalla making a total $1 billion. The only reason they're going to Assassin's Creed Mirage is because it's not like they're going to make less money. They know that the old formula worked. It's not like it's going to be worse. It won't go away until Ubisoft screws up massively, putting the franchise down, or until they heat death of the universe. No amount of pushback is going to change that. Ubisoft, like EA, doesn't care much unless the game will make a lot of money. So, in the face of why hold on to a franchise that will not listen to you or cater to you, to me it's just better to leave than feel like you aren't being listened to. Now you can respond with, but games like Titanfall are far and few between. I push back against Respawn because they are the only company that makes Titanfall. If I just leave, I am leaving a series that does what I want in a game. And you'd be right, there aren't many games like Titanfall. But I would still argue that you shouldn't fool yourself into thinking that pushing back will get you anywhere. They are listening and do want to make a Titanfall game, but at the moment, the people who can greenlight the sequel won't do that. You shouldn't waste your breath if that is the case. It is better to just leave and than stay and complain. Titanfall may be the only game that does what it does, but it is clear that it isn't going to change Apex or make another Titanfall game to show that style of game you like. And I know it sucks to just leave a franchise you love, because what it implies is that all the time you spent engaging, talking about it is wasted, which to me just isn't the case. The time you spent enjoying it is meaningful and can't be taken away. you can still revisit it and enjoy what is there. Titanfall 2 has an offline mode. You can play the campaign, and while you may not be able to play the multiplayer, you can still enjoy what was there. And it is another point that I do have to say, is that people don't just don't just think they wasted their time, but also they won't be able to play a game like that. A lot of games, such as arena shooters, for example, petered off during the 2000s. There wasn't a lot of games. There were a few. 2004 Unreal Tournament was there, but as an overall, there weren't as many as there were beforehand, and that does suck. It does suck having a franchise or a series or a genre or a gameplay styling that you like just disappearing. But honestly, you shouldn't stick to those things if it makes you that miserable. All you can do is just wait until someone makes a Titanfall inspired game, or Respawn makes a Titanfall game the way you want, and then you can enjoy it again. But to do this rut of complain, get angry, get sad, and get disappointed over and over again is not good for anyone. And I again suggest just let it go. If more games like Titanfall come up, grand. If none come up, that's not great, but rather not dwell on it for too long. Again, this is just a suggestion. If you want to still play and engage with a game or series you don't like, that is fine. But for me, I'd rather play and talk about games I like rather than dislike.